What's up, everybody? My name is Vincent. Welcome to Cryptolution, where we talk about everything under the moon in the crypto universe. Today's Monday, February 2nd. Now, I have to share with you the wild weekend that Dog experienced over the weekend. And it wasn't just Dog. Dog actually sustained in terms of price while the entire memecoin market capitulated due to manipulation going on with Bitcoin's price. What we're going to talk about in today's video is what Dog has been doing over the weekend and why the Dog Army has spoken outright against CZ from Binance and also Justin Sun from Tron Network. Now, the reason the Dog Army has been created is not to just support the free and fair movement, but also to call out corruption point blank so that people can understand what's really going on. And when you have powerful entities being exposed, not just by the Dog Army, but now the entire crypto Twitter is now waking up to it, we're starting to see a significant change happening within the landscape of crypto. And this is why people are flocking more to Dog, because they know that Dog is something that's going to lead the charge in terms of free and fair, but also transparency, what we demand from exchanges, from leaders in the industry. But I also want to talk about some explosive data that today, the PMI, aka the ISM models, have just had a report of over 52%. This is a huge, significant, important news that we need to talk about today and why this is relevant to Bitcoin's price and a rally that we've never seen before in the crypto history ever. So let's go and smash up that like button, subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to join us on X. Please be careful with the scammers down in the comments below. I'll never reach out via WhatsApp, Telegram, direct messaging, or email. So please be careful and invest safely. Guys and girls, let's get right into it. Dog right now is hovering around 108 million market cap. Well, let's look into Bitcoin's price, because as you've noticed, Bitcoin has actually dipped a lot to 78,000. It actually went lower than that, believe it or not. We went as low as 75 to even 74,000. That was one of the lowest points that we saw in this recent capitulation event. Now, I want to point out that the memecoin market got affected as well. So I want to talk about Murad. So Murad is the main KOL influencer behind the SPX 6900 token. That's a meme coin. And based on his portfolio now, he used to have roughly around $67 million. That was his total portfolio holding. Now, he hasn't sold anything, which I respect. It's down to now $9.1 million. So no matter what, in my mind, I just want to tell everybody in the Dog Army is that you don't always have to hold on forever. It's okay to take profits. Don't be like Murad. So basically, if you ever see that Dog heads to the moon into the multi-billions of dollars, it's okay to take 10% here, 10% there, another 10% here, and convert your Dog into BTC or stable coins. So that way you can buy dips like this. The whole point of Dog is to never sell shame anybody that takes profit. I mean, you're going to be like these people who say, oh, we're with SPX 6900 to the moon or whatever, but this is a cult-like mind. And I do not support cult-like followings. I don't support any cults for that matter, let alone a meme coin. So just be very careful when you get involved in things like this. Now, let's go over to the meme coin market. As you can see, many things were down over the past 7 days. Dog was no exception. But right now, we're seeing just a little bit of a leg up. Some coins are in the green, some coins are in the red over the past 24 hours. Dog right now is around 197 ranking on CoinMarketCap, but I did notice that over the weekend, while the whole market was capitulating, Dog had flipped ApeCoin in market cap, and ApeCoin has a ton of tier 1 centralized exchange listings. And why? ApeCoin actually has a team behind it, and they pay to have their token listed on these exchanges. And this is the crazy thing. This image right here should share with you what happened over the weekend. While the entire meme coin market was shutting down, you saw that Dog was the only meme coin that just wasn't down. It was actually up 7%, while everything else was almost down to double digits. Now, if you want to get more insight on this, Killer Ticker shared a specific diagram. Now, this is Dog USDT compared to other meme coins by dominance. And as you can see, Dog was breaking out of dominance for many of these meme coins because it was capturing not just market share, but mind share as well. And that's what's amazing is that when you're seeing Dog outpace and outperform the rest of the meme coin sector, that's a signal to you that you need to pay attention to this. And even it's surpassing SPX 6900 in that last screenshot. So let this be a lesson. Dog is actually the #1 meme coin this cycle. And we'll talk more about PMI and ISM model in the end. We also saw that Dog was the #1 performing meme coin on Kraken, and we also saw that we have a new holder count of 10,800 on Solana. Yes, people are still trading and still buying on Solana, and those holders continue to grow. Now, I also noticed that a ton of people over the weekend, even though we saw the market capitulate, people were dollar cost averaging. We have Big Dog, Bitcoin Dog. We also have Foster, V Dizzle. We also have the Web3 meme guy, Dutch Dog, Free Speech Patriot. We have Fatangiro. And then we also have Zith, Moonwalk, Grand Priest, and John Wick. That's absolutely amazing. Now, another thing I want to share with you is what BitMax shared. This is the historical data of how dog engagements have actually exploded over the week. Now, have you noticed over the past weekend, we saw a massive explosion of dog mentions on crypto Twitter. And why is that? Well, it could be because of this. So if you don't know, crypto Twitter's all over CZ and Binance, basically saying and criticizing and pretty much creating a lot of FUD around the exchange and the practices that go behind the scenes.
A couple of weeks ago, I was pretty positive about the Bitcoin super cycle, but right now, given all the FUD and all the emotions that was stirred up in the community, I'm less confident about it now. To be very frank, because the more FUD you kick up and the more you get all the community riled up, it does have negative effects.
So what I'm aware of is that CZ owns roughly around 90% equity within Binance, and then his wife, Hei, owns around 10%, give or take, of Binance. They don't actually have to be the CEO or for him to run the company in order to make profit. And what's really interesting is that just a few days ago, CZ said that he thinks that there's going to be a Bitcoin super cycle. But after the FUD and scrutiny from the communities, not just here in America, but also in Asia as well, and China, now he's saying because of that, the Bitcoin super cycle is over. Just because he feels like his opinions and how he feels determines the cycle, which I think is absolutely ridiculous. And so right now we're seeing what Binance is doing compared to what they're saying. And what they're saying is, Richard Tang, the CEO, and Hei Yi, aka the now co-CEO of Binance, are saying, listen, we go through a listing process with our projects. Even though you don't have to pay a listing fee, you can, give us some token supply for launch pools or mega airdrops and whatever. We know this complete BS right here, because as you've noticed with all the other meme coins like CZ Dog, Mubarak, and also Test Token, they all exactly went to zero, from the hundreds of millions to literally in the single digit millions. Because what we saw with the heavy scrutiny over Binance and also CZ, they made this open letter to the crypto community that they're going to take some of their SAFU funds and put $1 billion of stablecoin reserves into Bitcoin. But soon after that, 2 days later, I kid you not, we saw what happened with the Bitcoin price. We went from roughly around 82,000 to 74,000 out of nowhere. And 2 days later after this announcement, we saw that the most liquidations was on Binance. This is absolutely crazy. And what's also really crazy is that even though we saw roughly around $1 billion worth of Bitcoin sold on Binance, on chain, nothing was really sold. In fact, it could be a ledger. So right now there is some speculation that they use customer funds to do this liquidation event, which is highly illegal. But it doesn't just stop there. We also have to talk about Justin Sun. Now, I don't trust this guy from a mile away. Just looking at him, I don't trust him. So basically his former partner, aka girlfriend, her name is Tenten, I believe. She has been publicly posting so many things on X exposing what Justin Sun has been doing. Now, I don't know what to say because these are allegations. These are not facts. These are not, put into court. It's just allegations as of right now. But based on what she's saying, is that Justin has used Binance to manipulate price in order to earn profit. Now, let's pay attention to some suspicious activity because look how much money this guy has spent. So apparently just a few years ago, Justin Sun met up with Warren Buffett. He paid roughly $4.56 million just to have a 1-hour lunch meeting with Warren Buffett. Keep in mind, even though this was considered a charity event that if you donate a certain amount, you can meet up with Warren Buffett. But nonetheless, that's a lot of money. Where did he get that money? Then, not too long ago after that, he bought a banana called the Comedian. Remember, it's the banana that was taped on a wall? He bought that for $6.4 million, and then he ate the banana. Now, follow suit. He bought also a seat on Blue Origin. Now, this was an auction. He didn't just pay Jeff Bezos. This was an auction to bid for a seat to be on the Blue Origin to see, basically space and the surface of Earth. He won that auction, but spent $28 million US. $28 million US. And now he's offering to meet up with Elon Musk for $30 million just for a lunch. Now, I gotta ask you, how's this guy getting all this money when some people can't even afford lunch. So this is the problem. I think he's actually making money through the manipulation and through the market making. And by the way, who the heck uses Tron Network? Nobody. When Justin Sun is using an exchange like Binance and maybe others like HTX, remember, he is an advisor for HTX Global, which I do not trust that exchange as well. I've heard bad stories about them. And this is just, to me, exploitation of consumer funds. So this is why I want to remind everybody from the Dog Army, make sure, this is what makes Dog very unique. Point out the corruption that's happening with Justin Sun and what's happening over at Binance, especially with CZ. Point this all out, make sure your voice is heard. This is what makes the Dog Army very unique. Now, let's move on to the most bullish news, which is the PMI data. Okay, I want to share with you this specific diagram. This was recorded on December 22nd of 2025. Now, what have you noticed? Well, the orange line is the Bitcoin price. The blue line is the ISM and PMI model. Now, when you overlap them, what have you noticed? Whenever the PMI, aka the ISM model, surpasses a specific point, which is a 50 resistance level, which I'll point out in just a little bit, you'll see that the Bitcoin price reacts very positively to that. Now, we saw a bull market in 2013, 17, and 2021 for Bitcoin and the crypto market, and it absolutely aligned with the ISM PMI model. Now let's focus on what's happening in 2026, because if you've noticed, in the entire year of 2024 all the way up until 2025, we've been below the 50 index level. Now, whenever we're below the 50 index level, we are in a bear market. But what's interesting is that whenever we cross that 50 index level, we head into a bull market. As you can see, what's correlated with the PMI model down below correlates with Bitcoin's price. Every single time we break out of it, we go up. Same thing right here, we break out of it, we go up. Same thing right here, we break out of it, we go up. Now, what's going on here? Not a crazy coincidence that really Bitcoin hasn't really done much for the past 2 years. So what are we waiting for? We're waiting for that breakout. And I have some exciting news to share with you. That today, we just got the PMI data that we were expected to be around 48.5% when really we jumped up to 52.6%. This is exponential, and this is what it looks like. We have not seen this happen in over 4 years. Now let's look at this PMI data on the chart. So check this out. Look at what just happened. Now, we did see a peak right around here in 2025 and another one right over here in 2024, but it was some resistance level. This is not like the previous two that we've seen. This is a whole new level. What we're seeing here is very similar to what we saw here and what we saw here. Now, can we come back down? Absolutely. Anything is possible. But this is confirmation that we are headed into a bull market and for Bitcoin's price to go up. Now, you must be thinking, Vincent, you're a little too bullish, a little bit too much hopium. But just hear me out on this, okay? I think because we've never seen a cycle like this before, the 4-year cycle is over. A lot of technical analysis, especially Benjamin Cohen, are telling you that we're going to head into a 2019 bear market. But the thing is, history may not repeat and it may not rhyme. It may set a new tone and a new beat. And that's what the whole point is, that history doesn't always have to repeat when the future creates a new history for itself, if that makes any sense. So that's why I think that this is absolutely different. We're going to break out of a new trend because we have major worlds and entities and governments hopping into cryptocurrency. Remember, I mentioned in a previous video that February 20th is a huge paradigm shift and a significant change for a new era. And I think that starting in February 20th, you're going to start to see a reversal for crypto. Now let's focus on dog price as of today. Now, in the short term, you won't see everything go up, even though the PMI and ISM model are very bullish. But what have I noticed is that we've actually done quite well for dog Bitcoin price during the volatility of the crypto market, especially Bitcoin dropping from 82,000 to 74,000. We've actually just sustained sideways for quite some time. And as I expected, with the MACD, we've actually trended downwards towards the seller's market, but it could reverse because we're seeing some pink bars right here. And also with the RSI, yes, we didn't touch this red line, but we are kind of perfectly where we want to be, which is in between these two red lines. Now remember, I mentioned that this looks very similar to what happened in October of 2024. And when that price of dog and the RSI went downwards, we saw that the yellow and purple line went in this zone within this red box over here. And we're kind of exactly in the same point. We've been oversold for 6 months and it's time for a reversal. And based on what I'm seeing in that model with the PMI and ISM model, it's looking quite bullish. And I also do want to point out that Dog just completed its first monthly green candle, which is this part right over here. That's the month of January. January closed on a green month. And what we could be forming is an Adam and Eve pattern. This is an Adam and Eve double bottom pattern. So Adam is this sharp triangle, which we hit the first bottom, and Eve is the second bottom, which we hit right over here. So January may have been the very first green month that signaled a rally for Dog Bitcoin. And this could happen really fast. You don't have to wait until August until this reaches 560. It can happen within the next month. It can happen within the next 2 months. Things can change really drastically. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm very bullish on Dog Bitcoin. You just saw all the data that happened with the PMI and ISM model, but also let's not forget, us at the Dog Army need to address CZ, Binance, HTX, Justin Sun, and point out the corruption. And the reason that's important is because people resonate with our message. This is why the Dog Army is growing every single day and why we sustain such a great floor price. Dog right now is becoming what people don't realize just yet is that it's not only the meme coin this cycle, meaning in 2026, but it's also going to be the main narrative people are going to want to support. It has no corruption, it has no team members, it has no KOLs, basically eating this coin. Is all community based. It's exactly what Bitcoin was designed to do, and it aligns with what Dog is doing. So people need to know about it, and you need to educate people about Dog. But just seeing that strength over the weekend with Dog was just a little taste of what's to come. And that's just not showing how strong we are in a bear market. It also shows how strong we are and going to be stronger during a bull market. And I don't think people are ready, and that's a good thing. So go ahead and smash up that like button, subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to join us on X to receive all of our alpha calls and updates regarding Dog and Moon. Till then, see you guys girls next time.